Hi guys, hello everybody, welcome back to another video, another episode, or what would I call this? Welcome back to Real Life with Mamezi. Gosh, I have missed you guys, man. When was the last time I posted a video? I think 2 weeks ago or so. But anyways, welcome. If you are new here, welcome. Feel free to subscribe, like, share, go watch the previous videos, and then just come and join up with this. Okay, so this intro is I don't understand. Anyways, moving on. So today we're going to be doing part four of the Offence series, and this is the final episode on the Offence series, or this is the final piece of the Offence series. So we're going to be wrapping up the Offence series today, and we're going to be also doing a Q&A. We're going to be wrapping up the Offence series today, so today is going to be a Q&A. We're just going to be answering some questions. I have I think 4 major questions. I think this question summarizes any other questions. I feel like other questions are just embedded in this one, so I'm just going to make it real quick, answer these 4 major questions, and that will wrap up our Offence series. So if you still have questions apart from these ones that I apart from this one that I answer rather, you can still feel free to send me. You can send me a DM, send me a mail, or just leave it in the comment section. I'll probably answer that, not in a video, but just answer that personally. But these ones, I hope would answer a lot of the questions that are embedded in or that are under this topic of offense. So for those of us that are new here and haven't watched the previous videos, we've started a series on offense, how to deal with offense, minor offenses, major offenses, how to avoid offenses. So it pretty much talked extensively, I would say, on offense. So you feel free to go and watch the other videos, the previous videos, before you dive right into this one. So, but for those of y'all who have watched the part 1, 2, 3, let's get started on this question. Number 1, first question is, does forgiveness mean staying with the offender? Does forgiveness mean you stay with the offender? So this one I would say is a yes and no answer. Reason is because I'll say it's dependent on 2 things. First of all, what's the offense? Second of all, who's the offender? So these 2 things, I think, understanding these 2 things helps to answer this question correctly. Because, remember in the previous videos, we talked about offenses ranging from minor offenses to major offenses. So if somebody, offended you, just like a minor offense, maybe your sister, for instance, just said something mean to you, and then you forgive her, does it mean that you cut off that relationship with her because she just maybe said something mean? So that's why I said, what's the offense and who is the person? So, or if your spouse just maybe you don't like the floor being wet, for instance. A lot of people say, oh, I don't like the floor being wet, or I don't like the toothpaste being pressed from the middle, I like it being pressed from down. Just those little things that come in our way and offend us. If somebody that is close to you does something like that, and you're like, you talk about it like, oh, I don't like this, and you forgive the person, does that mean that you now let go of that relationship because of that minor thing? That's why I say this question, the answer to this question is based on what's the offense and who's the offender. Now, there are major offenses, things like abuse, things that, we even said that major offenses are basically things that take us time to heal from. They're just so, it takes us a lot of time to heal from, where we're so hurt and, it has eaten deep and everything. So when it comes to major offenses like that, it's not, so for instance, I'll say if somebody is physically abusing you, forgiveness, doesn't mean staying with the offender. I think first of all, forgiveness doesn't okay, I think first of all, forgiveness doesn't even mean staying with the person. Forgiveness is letting go of an offense, is reading your heart of the hurt and the guilt and everything. So I think this question is trying to ask, what do you do even after you have forgiven? Do you continue to stay with everybody that has offended you? That's where my answer comes into play, because it depends on what the offense is and who the offender is. So for instance, if somebody is physically molesting you, it is not wisdom to stay in an abusive relationship. Pack your bags and go. And then from outside, as in, be safe first. Then from outside you can now be doing all the things. Like for instance, because you find out that a lot of Christians have been told that, especially Christian women, have been told that, and no matter what your husband does, if he's beating you, just stay in the house and be praying for him. My sisters, many people have died from staying in that relationship, abusive relationship, and praying for him. Be safe. And the Bible says wisdom is profitable to direct. So if your life is constantly at risk, leave that risky situation, leave that dangerous situation. When you are outside, you can now pray. When you're outside, you can now pray about it. You can now decide, if he comes to ask for your forgiveness and you forgive him, you can now decide, how do I want to move forward from then on? Do I want to go for counseling? Do we want to see somebody? Especially if this person is coming to seek for your forgiveness and all that stuff. So don't stay in an abusive relationship. Don't stay in a place that is constantly bringing you harm, and say because you are forgiven, you should stay there. Forgiveness doesn't mean stay there. Forgiveness is you letting go of that hurt so that you can be all right, so that you can be sane. So it might not even be as big as somebody physically abusing you or sexually abusing you. Even negativity. A lot of us are in relationships with friends and people around us that are just so negative. Every single time is negative words that are being spoken to us. Every single time we're put down. Every time you're with this particular person, you feel somehow, or you don't feel like a human being. The person always says words to you. The person always makes you feel less of a person. When it's important that you let go of that hurt, and that you rid yourself of that hurt and offense and everything. But it is wisdom not to stay there, especially when all that surrounds you is negativity. It's wisdom to go. You can still love the person from afar. I know a lot of people say, and this does this mean that we cut everybody off or we love? See, you have to first of all decipher every relationship. Should I be here? Should I be this person's friend? Should we be close friends? Should we be best friends? Are we just meant to be acquaintances? Hey, what's up? How are you? Fine. Moving on. So don't just, don't say, don't allow every single person into your space to come and hurt you. And if somebody is constantly hurting you in your space, it's time for that person to leave. You should protect your sanity. You should protect yourself from, constantly getting offended because this person is in your space. This person does not have to be in your space. You don't have to keep malice to push people away. No, you can still love them. Show them all the love from afar. If they need something, you are there for them. But you know that this person is not constantly having access to your space to come and offend you. So I hope that answers that question anyway. So yeah. And I also want to know what you think. You can also answer those questions. Other people too can answer those questions in the comment section, and let's just have a conversation about these things. Now the second question, let me read it. So it says, what if I'm still being offended? Can I forgive even while still being offended? So, like we said earlier on, forgiveness is not how do I say this? Forgiveness is not, a lot of times, forgiveness doesn't just happen in a day. It's not a one-off. So forgiveness is a decision and a process. So you decide that I'm going to forgive this person. You decide that I'm going to let go of this hurt and I'm going to go of this offense. And then it's also a process, because a lot of times, especially when these offenses are major offenses, it's not easy to just let go of it all at once. But it's a process of constantly surrendering to God. Every single day you're taking your heart to God and saying, God, I want to let go of this offense. I want to forgive this person. I want to let go of this thing. So it's a constant process. So when a lot of times when we start out the process of forgiving, or when we make a decision to forgive and we start out the process of forgiveness and healing and all that stuff, in the first few days we're still being offended by the hurt. So don't say, oh, I can only forgive when this offense has gone. You can be offended and decide that, you know what, I'm going to let go of this thing. I'm not going to let this come in between us. I'm not going to let this, affect our relationship. I'm going to let go of this hurt. And there, when you make that decision, you might still go back to your room and be thinking, I should have said this, I should have said that, I should have said this. I didn't, this person hurt me. You might still be like that. But in that moment, you surrender your heart to God and say, God, I want to let go of this thing. I know that I'm still hurt, but I want to let go of this thing. So yes, you can start the forgiveness process even while you're still being offended. And as you constantly surrender your heart to God, God will change it. Okay, so the third question says, what if the person doesn't know that they hurt me? The person doesn't know that they hurt you. I would say if somebody doesn't know that they hurt you, why are you keeping it and being offended? Like, if you don't know, if you don't know that you did something to somebody and that person is just getting offended there, it doesn't change anything if the person doesn't know. That's why the Bible advises us or counsels us to go and settle our differences with our brothers. I cannot offend you. For instance, imagine like you're offended by this video and you don't tell me. You're just offended by yourself. Like, honestly, like what will I do if I don't know something I don't know? Do you get? Like, what can I do? This thing can never be resolved if I don't know. But if you now come and say, Mamezi, I'm offended by this thing, that thing, I'll say, okay, this is okay, what exactly? Then we can settle it. But if the person doesn't know, there's nothing you can do. So my take on this is, if somebody offended you and you know that they don't know, go and tell them about it. Go and talk to them about it and say, you did this, you did that to me, and then try and settle it. Don't live in offense, and be bitter, be bottled up, going through all those emotions, and the person has no clue that you're even offended. I think this has even happened to me one time before. I remember like a friend. The time I was offended at a friend, as in, thinking back at it, it was pretty serious. But even right now, I can't even remember like why we were even at loggerheads, like what even happened. But I realized that I remember that I was just always so angry at this person, so offended because I had a list of things that they had done and blah 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 and everything, and I was just like really angry. And I remember like along the line, I think maybe I had shared with some other friend, and maybe the person told this person that, oh, Mamezi is offended at you. She felt you did this. And the person came to me, I'm like, Mamezi, I never knew that I did this thing. Like, I never, as in, if I knew, like, as in, I was just wondering, oh, why, this thing was such a big deal. I never knew that this made you feel this way. So imagine, Mamezi was just upset the whole time. Feeling like this person knows that this person is offended me, and they're still acting like life is good while I'm here being offended. Meanwhile, the person had no clue. But if I had gone to the person simply and said, you did this to me, you did that to me, end of story. Do you get? Because a lot of times, even among married couples, you find this thing a lot. One person is angry with the other person. This other person doesn't even know. He probably said something, or she probably said something to you. She doesn't even know that you took it this way, that you took it from 0 to 100. In her mind, she was playing with you. But yes, you're offended. And you carry your face the entire day. And I think a lot of women do this. Not a lot of women. I think women do this more than men do. Because you're offended at your spouse. It's for you to tell him that, guy, this is what you did, I don't like it. You carry your face the entire day. The guy is thinking, why is she giving me this vibe? I mean, what happened? In your mind, you're thinking, he's seeing that I'm carrying my face. Doesn't he know that I'm offended? Like, girl, those things are unrealistic expectations. As in, those things are just unrealistic expectations. If you're offended at somebody, go and tell them and sort it out. Don't keep things expecting the person to figure it out. As in, don't expect people to do you figure out things all the time? You don't. So don't expect people to figure out how you feel, especially if they don't know. Okay. So our final question is, what if I'm offended at God? This is not something uncommon. So if you've ever been offended at God, or if you're currently offended at God, don't think that you're weird or you're a sinner or you've done something wrong. A lot of people have gone through. I have been offended at God a lot of times. The first thing I'll say is that if you're offended at God for any reason whatsoever, you pick the wrong person to be offended at. The reason why I say this is because if you're not offended at other people, the person that can help your heart heal and all that stuff is God. If you're not offended at him, do you get, like, who do you run to? Who do you talk about these things to? So now, a lot of times we're offended at God because of something we feel like he didn't do, or something that he did and we think he's responsible, or something that, just because we have an idea of what happened. But I'll tell you for free, your idea is not always the truth. If you're offended at God because you feel like he didn't do something, or he could have done this thing better, your idea is not always the truth. You only know in part. Okay, so I think I'm speaking in parables and all that thing. So let's just even be very practical. So if you're offended at God, the first thing I would say to do is to talk to God about it. I know it feels like, oh, I'm offended at God, I don't want to talk to him about him. Girl, your best bet is to go and talk to him and say, God, I'm offended at you. I don't like this. I don't like that. You did this. I was upset about this. I felt like you could have come true in this way. I felt like you should have done this. I felt like you should have done... See, the Bible calls us, we are the bride of Christ. Jesus is the bridegroom. We're in a relationship with God. So we talk to him the same way. If you're offended with your friend, you go and talk to him about it. It's the same way God expects that if, we have anything, any grievances or whatever, we come and talk to him. So it means that God is not a dictator. He's saying, be offended. This is it. This is what I want to do. He's saying, come, let us reason together. Come, let's have a conversation about why you're offended. Because the truth is, if you're offended with God and you're just in a corner, just doing your own thing, just being offended, you don't get anywhere. It doesn't solve anything. But if you go to God and say, God, this is this, that, I'm offended, you will surely get a reply. You might not get, oh, this is why, but God will surely respond. Remember in the Bible when Job went to God and was like, oh God, this, that, because of all the happenings that happened to him. And then God now started to speak. And God started to speak, and God started to the way I see it, that as when God started to speak, God started to list out his CV, like, just read out his CV rather, list out who. Can't you see, I'm the one that set the sun in his place, I'm the one that did this, I'm the one that did this, like, and for me, I felt like God was saying all that, like, just listen his CV to say, if I can do all these great things that your mind cannot even imagine, and that you cannot even do, is it to restore your wealth and your children that I cannot do? That's a response. God always responds when we come to him. You might just even feel a certain peace, if the burden just being lifted off. But if you sit in your corner, you will not get anywhere. But if you come to God and say, God, this is how I feel, I'm offended about this is how I feel, then you can proceed from there. Then he can speak to you. Then he can help you out. Then he can help you to get rid of that hurt. So I would say, at the end of the day, if you're offended at God, you pick the wrong person to be offended at. But if you are, don't just stay in your corner and be hurt. Go to him and tell him exactly the way it is. He is your father. You are his child. As in, you don't have to be scared to come into his presence. It's the same way if your earthly father does something to you and you're unhappy, you go and say, daddy, this thing that you did, I did not like it, that is not good, it's the same way you do. It's the same way he wants you to come to him and tell him this is how you feel. Because if you don't go to your earthly father and say this is how you feel, you'll just be hurt there. As in, the man has moved on with his life. So God is our father. God is also our lover. So as in, he wants relationship with us. However you feel, whether sad, happy, he wants to hear about it. So my dear, if you're offended at God, today just go to him and talk to him about it. And trust me, you'll get a response, or something that would help you to move on. So this brings us to the end of the Q&A. I hope these questions answered a lot more questions. I know they're just 4, but I hope that they answered every other question that would arise from it. And like I said earlier on at the start of the video, that if you still have questions, you can still send me a message, but as an Instagram DM, an email, or you can just leave it in the comment section below. And I will see you next time on another thing. We're done with the offense series, so we're going to be going to something else by the next video. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, turn on post notifications so that you know when there is a new video. And I will see you next time on Real Life with Mamezi.